we are transmitting live now. So please, if you want to show us your video now, please ensure that, particularly those of you in Lagos and Akure, be sure to be dressed up because now people are seeing you from all over the world. Now. So please let's try and cover when we need to show. And you know, for those of us that okay, now that we are a bit more public than we were before, let's be conscious of that. Now we'll be taking the ground rules. I will need some volunteers to actually read the ground rules for us. Among those who are on our panel list today, Ayo, Tayo Balogun, Ahmad, um, Jack can also join us. Nena, please, you can take the number 4. Efe and Adasa can also take if it's still remaining. So please, you'll be helping us to read this ground rule so that everybody is aware of what is guiding our discussion today. So please, let's take it in that order. As I just call your name now, please, the first person read the first one, the second person reads the second one, the third person, the fourth, fifth, and sixth. Please, you have the mic now. Please, let's hear you.
Okay, so I think we start with me. That
Yes,
it says focus on the options and actions we can take nationally and in our communities.
thank you very much. Next person, please.
Um, Consider all options fairly.
Okay, sorry, Moyo should take the next one. Please pardon me. I think I skipped that. You're muted.
Sorry, consider all options fairly.
No, you're taking the third one, sorry.
Okay. Listening is just as important as speaking.
Thank you very much. Jack, you can now take the next one.
Okay, no one or two individuals should dominate.
Okay, Ife, I think it should be the next.
Maintain an open and respectful atmosphere.
Thank you. And Adasa, you can take the last one.
Everyone is encouraged to participate.
Thank you very much for helping us to read out this. So please, if you agree to abide by these ground rules today, can you indicate by thumbing up or by using your emoticons to give us a thumb up in the reactions using the reaction button? Can we, do we all agree to abide by these ground rules today? Thank you, Ahmad. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Linus. Please, by agreeing, you giving me permission to be able to step in case anybody is not adhering to our rules. So please, let's note that okay, we said these are the rules that are going to guide our discussion today, and we are going to abide by this very rule, just like we've read out to each and every one of us. So the topic we are discussing today, we usually use an issue guide, and I was debating whether we should go by that guide or we should have a very just open-ended discussion about the STEM education that some of us have experienced in Nigeria. What we did with this particular dialogue is to bring people who are STEM graduates, who are working in STEM industry, and who have experienced STEM curriculum in Nigeria, and they've graduated and they are working, like someone like Ayo, who is, a cybersecurity expert, and also a business owner based in Washington. Ahmad is also a STEM graduate who is already working with a multinational company. And then we also have Moyo, who experienced STEM education in Nigeria and is now an undergraduate in the UK to benchmark, okay, what was the experience like for you when you were in Nigeria? And what did you experience in terms of this content of STEM that you got when you are now in the UK? And the same with Efe and Adasa. So they are coming because they have experienced what STEM education they received over there and what is obtainable where they are. So that is how we pull this panel together today, and we just want to explore. So I don't know if Ayo would like to go first, or if it's Ahmad, or if it's Moyo. What was the content of STEM education you received in Nigeria? What was it like compared to those of you that are practicing? Is it what you were taught then that you used to practice? Did you have to recourse to any of them in your practice, or you have to be retrained all over again? So I think we just do it in that open-ended manner so that we can have a very robust discussion. So, Ayo, please, do you want to share with us what was the experience, what was the STEM content you received while in school? And if you do go to a public school, did you go to a private school? And what was STEM like when you were being taught in school? And what was the STEM you started to practice with? Is there a disconnect, or is there like a continuum? And if there was disconnect, what kind of training do you have to do to get yourself up to speed with STEM in your practice now?
Yeah, thank you, Oladile. In my case, I mean, it feels like a million years ago.
Wow.
And just so we don't try to benchmark my time, like my experience with current experience,
Okay.
when we were in secondary school, which is the equivalent, like the high school equivalent back in Nigeria. Of course, there's the focus on sciences and all the relevant engineering related stuff. So you talk about um, physics, chemistry, biology, and math in secondary school. But when you get into the university, that's when you start to focus more on the more intense side of STEM. And what I would like to point out is the fact that, and that's why I started by saying, I mean, for me, it feels like a million years ago, because now, when we were in secondary school, I had a personal computer, but because my parents decided to get me one,
Wow.
but we didn't have any in school. We had my school was one of the privileged schools, government secondary school in Ilorin. We had I think maybe there was some World Bank program because we had like influential people graduate from the school and then decide to give back. So we had like a lot of equipment, but it was more like poor technical equipment. If people wanted to learn mechanical engineering and all those things. So we had equipment in the labs, and of course we had chemicals, but no computers, nothing. And even at that time, I hadn't decided if I was going to be a medical doctor or a computer engineer. I ended up majoring in electrical and computer engineering, Federal University of Technology, Mina.
Mm.
And when I got into the university, um, of course, we had the school computer lab, which I mean, not a lot of people visited. Some people went there out of curiosity. Some people learned, but not a lot of people visited. And in terms of whether a lot of the things we were taught were relevant, I think in my case, yes, because and I think I think I'm one of the very lucky few. Um, because we learned a lot of stuff. We learned things in other sciences as well, outside of engineering, and then we learned things in the broader engineering field, which is mechanical, chemical, agriculture engineering, and then we of course focused on electrical and computer engineering. So I still up to now we still talk about some of the courses we took in electrical power and distribution and stuff. So we have that. Then we have computer engineering, which in addition to looking into hardware, it also focused on telecommunications and all that. And I had a lot of people graduate at that point and then go on to work for the likes of Ericsson, FTN, and so forth. So yes, my set especially was a lucky set. We had a lot of like really bright people. So I mean, I still made a joke with some people about that yesterday. So looking at how the trainings we had was relevant to the things we did for in my case it was very relevant because and again one very important thing is to to recognize the fact that as an individual you're responsible for charting your own path. There's a general assistance with direction, but then in terms of being specific as to what you want to make out of your life, it's your responsibility. From I think like 300, I spent more time I spent more time on learning digital electronics stuff. I very rarely went to the library, but when I did, my focus was more on digital electronics. I knew about the binary stuff. It was interesting to me, so I spent more time on that, and of course that helped me. But again, we also had a lot of technical resources. We had a library that was well equipped. So if you were interested in learning, you could focus, you were able to spend your time doing that. So in my case, yes, I think I was lucky. My set was lucky, but I know of other universities back in Nigeria at that time who didn't necessarily have the privilege. So to answer your question, of course, it prepared me. And of course, I had to also spend time and effort preparing myself because STEM is dynamic, things change, things evolve, the environment is fluid, so you need to get yourself ready to you get introduced to it. You have to constantly prepare yourself to reintroduce and stay abreast.
Wow. Thank you very much, Ayo, for that very detailed, response. Because I was about to ask a follow-up question that where you kept saying that your set was lucky, and I was why do you keep saying that? But I think you sort of answered the question that you are also aware of some schools that did not have what you guys had. So that means this kind of facility, the kind of infrastructure wasn't widespread in terms of its availability across the country. And that is an issue because now the point is that not everybody is starting on an equal skill because that means some of you had a head start, others are just like even trying to get their bearing to start because they didn't have what to work with. And you also very privileged having a computer to yourself, even before your school had one. So you could start to, put to practice, tinker with the thing, and then find a way around it. Thank you for that response. Hamad, do you want to share your own experience with us, STEM-wise, school
Okay.
and then post-school?
Well, In my own case, it's presently the field I'm right now is has to do with IT.
Okay.
But what I studied in school is actually different. I studied electronic electrical engineering, so
Wow.
engineering. So that's what I studied. Although I've been into IT since 2009, once I left, that was yes, my high school then.
Okay.
After finishing secondary school, just went to, those roadside technical engineer, those computer engineer. But
Wow.
this is what I noticed. Actually, I agreed with Ayo on the relevancy of the syllabuses. But
Okay.
from my own hand, what I just see about the syllabus is that they are a bit outdated
Okay.
from what I see. And to me, how I would categorize that is that apart from the syllabus a bit outdated, then the manner and the mode in which we are being presented those syllabus is somehow we are not seeing the importance of what we are learning.
Mm.
I remember the school I attended was Lautech Acton University of Technology, and the way we are being groomed in that school, apart from your 100 level, even from your 100 level, you start presenting. But apart from, although in our own case we didn't due to some issue, but from 200 level, you start presenting. After your second semester, you have to go for SWEP. 300, you go for SWEP. Holidays, your second semester holiday. Then
Mm.
your 400 level, the whole semester, second semester, you go for COS, which is IT.
Mm.
So on our own set, we started, okay, instead of you going out for your SWEP, in which
Mhm.
anybody can just go for anything, just bring your reports, and so far you can defend it, you get your A's, and that's all. We are
Mm.
being assigned to stay in school. All engineering students, every one of us, we stayed in school that year, 200,
Wow.
300. And we are being
Wow.
assigned one lecturer and two
Okay.
technicians in the lab.
Okay.
I remember very well. We were assigned, yeah. So when we're in the lab, and this woman, the technical woman, then I want to remember her name. I've forgotten.
Okay.
She made us realize one thing. In 200 level, we will do rectification, meaning that converting the AC into DC. Almost all electrical appliances right now they're using DC, but we
Mm.
are using NEPA lights to charge to plug it. And NEPA is actually AC, it's alternating current, not DC. So we did it half wave, full wave. We just did road report and we got our scores. But then that woman made us realize something, and since then I've actually it changed my orientation when it's come to like you want to study something.
Mm.
So she said, okay, do this. And yes, we had a female then. She was even very, very hard on that female amount. Say, no, you don't go behind come and in fact she will just pull her out. Come on, stay here, do it. That's what she does. Yes, Mrs. CF James. I remember her name. Mrs. CF James. So she said, okay, do this. So she said we should go and look for diagram, design this. We did it. And she said, do you know what you've done? We said, yes, we did it. We did it. She said, do you know that that is what is inside every electronics, all chargers that you are using, your phone charger, your laptop charger,
Mm.
that you're able to use your AC to charge it. So all
Mm.
this while when we are in lab, we are able to do those chargers, but we do not know that's what we are
Mm.
doing.
Mm.
For the fact that we do not know, we don't know, and now, he now said that is what is left in the university system to make the students see the
Mm.
financial part of what you are doing. Because if you really know that if I do this, I'm going to have this money, of course you'll be
Mm.
serious. And that is why every one of us went to school. Although school is not really meant for that, but when you are leaving your house, I want to go to school to become an engineer, so I'll be this, I'll be that.
Mm.
But what you will be, you are not being shown. Although you are being taught, you know how to do it, but
Mm.
you are not being shown. You say, okay,
Mm.
dude, I remember then our final because you are going to do a project and you are going to defend it. It was Christmas light.
Okay.
It was very, very simple. I think it wasn't. I don't even think we spent up to say 1,000 naira then that we were able to do it.
Do it.
I just so that is number one. We are not being shown, okay, this what you are doing. This is the practical
Mm.
application. You'll be taught
Mm.
the application, it is being used in electronic device, being used that, but which one?
Mm.
If then like over 100 students knowing that okay, I can do this, it will like spark up something in the okay, I
Mm.
can take this to this level, I can take this to this level. So that is
Mm.
number one I saw from that is 200 level. Now, the second thing is that, I said, and funny thing, from our own hand on your from your final year, you have to choose. In Lautech, then we have power option and telecommunication option. I went for telecommunication option. So my final year project is actually on power because I was thinking, okay, if I'm going to do anything, any project, it should be a solution to a problem, not just
Mm.
go with the crowd. Because I have many friends and I did inverter. Even when I got into that school, they've been doing inverter. I left that school, they're still doing inverter. No, inverter is normal, but I want to bring a solution. And I now thought, what is the problem we've been having in Nigeria? It's
Mm.
always epileptic power supply. It has been our issue. And yes, I'm in electrical department. I should be able to do something. And I thought about it. How can we generate electricity in your own corner? So I went, researched, saw some videos, all this, and I brought up that idea. Then I only had two in our department that actually supported what I'm doing. Okay, yeah, that's a brilliant idea. That woman, Mrs. C.F. James, and my supervisor. It should be professor by now, Dr. I.G. Adebayo. They
Mm.
are the only one that actually supported. Okay, fine. You want to do how do I call this? Fuel, we call it fuelless generator. Like you're not going to use fuel to power on your generator. Number
Mm.
one, you not be relying on fuel. Number two, you can even put it in your living room. It is eco-friendly.
Okay.
And I wrote the proposal with it. Then only those two were the
Mm.
ones that believed in it. Although it was not 100% successful,
Mm.
which the reason behind it was the syllabus we were taught. There are some, yes, was the syllabus. It was after, after school, I was just like thinking, why is this thing not functioning optimally as I
Mm.
thought? And now, after doing some various research, I was like, okay, this is what I'm missing out. If we are
Mm.
being taught, because the basic functionality of generator, we are being taught in 300 level. Now,
Mm.
300, the third year, we have been everything, how generator function. I can tell you often, this is the function of this is the in fact, the basic mechanism, basic principle of how electricity is being generated, you've been taught in your secondary school.
Mm. Wow.
It has been taught in secondary school physics. That is it.
Mm.
So it's because we are not being shown. I can remember when I was defending that project, that lecture, and he is a professor. And I remember when I started the generator, he just like, "Ah, why now? They are not just giving me like any, not like, okay, why is it not functioning like this? Why is it voltage this? No, nothing like that. I just did it. I got my A and I went. Although that encouragement, that is not that encouragement. Okay. Oh wow,
Mm.
this is a beautiful one. Okay, how did you
Mm.
do this? Even if there is a
Mhm.
corroboration,
Yeah.
and I'm quite sure they have this experience, they have this knowledge.
Mm.
Maybe then I will have been told, okay, this is what you're missing out. Can you work more on this? Okay, maybe by
Mm.
your own, or let's do this together.
Mm.
Then if a university can actually provide a means of creating electricity, generating
Yeah.
electricity without using anything,
Mm.
just this one powering this one, and the cycle is just like that. Even providing generating electricity for that university alone, the cost is gone.
Yeah. That's true.
And I remember that because my IT, I did it in IBEDC, Nepal. I did it in there. I know that there's actually an injection substation closer to school in which you can liaise with them. You can be generating electricity and they can sell it for you. Then that is an income.
Mm.
So that vision is not there for them.
Mm.
Although my supervisor, we discussed it, and he even encouraged me to make sure that I wrote a paper on that on that project, in which I did. It was one that I did almost everything. I just sent my write up. It was one that made sure, okay, just go and pay for the publication, and it was published in the school journal.
Wow.
So
Wow.
so that is what I saw, about school.
Mm.
And yes, school also, when students are living from home, also we have to change our orientation. The school is not just you going there and get rich. School is you going there, understand what that thing is, and become what you went to study. It's not necessarily you using that to get rich. No,
Mm.
and that's why most people are saying school as scams. But so for me, those are the two things that
Okay.
I saw in there. It's not that the syllabus is not relevant. They are still relevant, but
Mm.
a bit outdated. And even those ones that are relevant, the way they are being presented, the
Mm.
students are not really knowing the real value of what they are studying. And that's why they will say, okay, a street side electrician is more beneficial than someone that went to school for 5 years, spent 5 years in school, and he doesn't know anything. It's not that he doesn't know anything. He just didn't know the application, the real world of application, the value of what he has been taught.
Mm.
I remember in a 200 level, we did some mechanical courses. Then how the piston functions, I know it, but I
Okay.
can't do it.
Wow.
You can just, because I'm just trying to let you know how rich the syllabus is, that you came to the technology school, you did this, how the pistons function, I know it in generator, how it function in motorbike, in vehicle, those I know it. But okay, where is the application? No, we are just being taught in paper, and then we did.
Wow.
And yeah, in our 200 and 300 levels, we did programming also. Then that one, it's even something that we did Pascal.
Wow.
You can just imagine this current time where you're doing Pascal. Yes, we did it, but did we code anything? No, it was just coding on paper.
Wow. Well,
So,
thank you
so
very
those
much.
things,
Okay.
are what I just think we just need to look into. If those things are looked into, even if we are being given as in the standard syllabus, okay, how are those syllabus being presented? If they are not
Yeah.
presented very well, students will just memorize or cram it, get their school and leave. And once they're outside there, nothing.
There's no value at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ahmad, for
Yeah.
this very detailed one as well. I mean, you've just also helped us to have another perspective to this. You went to Ladu Kakitola University of Technology in the West. Ayo was talking from his own experience in the North. So that is also like creating that idea. And just like Ayo himself readily admitted that, see, his set were very privileged in the sense that they had some World Bank intervention that give them some of those things. But you, on the other side, who even schooled some years later than Ayo, did not have that kind of opportunity. I mean, in your school, that could have also boosted your learning in the STEM area. And you also admitted that yes, the curriculum, the syllabus is rich, but certain things need to be updated there. I mean, they need to be put up to date. However, because there's also that gap, and we've been hearing that most of the time, that there's that gap between what we are taught and the application of it. And I'm glad you also nailed that on the head in the course of and then giving these very copious personal experiences also helps us. So I'll be hearing from Muyo. Muyo, you are still very fresh to all this. So because you are still in school, I mean, you've been in Nigeria, studied in Nigeria, and then you are not
Sorry,
studying.
I was in Nigeria until I was 9 years old, so it's
Oh, okay.
quite a while.
I thought, okay. Okay, just give us your own, maybe your experience then in terms of the STEM where you are now and maybe STEM in Nigeria while you were there.
I have a slideshow. I don't know if I can share it.
Oh, sure, you can share.
Um,
Um, so let's make you a co-host so you can share your slide. Please, yeah, you can go ahead and share now. Uh, Moyo is the daughter of a lecturer. So I'm not surprised that she wants to share this slide with us.
I hope it's okay if everyone can see it.
We can see it. If you just, I think if you just maybe use slideshow so that it can, what I think is big enough.
Yes. This says in the UK, but it's actually mostly England. There are some slight differences in like education
Okay.
there. But in short, it's divided into like 5 stages, but
Okay.
it's four. The five is kind of like you can ignore that. And this shows the national curriculum
Okay.
of education worldwide, and you can see highlighted here all
Mm,
like the STEM learning,
mm,
and it just shows that how much of like is a priority like in every like stage
mm,
of education. This is for key stage 1 and 2 in primary school, and
mm,
these are just like the aims
mm,
for education in math. I joined when I was in year 4,
Oh, okay.
and um I was already into like school in Nigeria, so it shocked me a bit how it was like taught a bit differently here. Usually in Nigeria, learning maths and science, it was usually like I was sat at the table writing and trying to memorize everything.
Mm,
But here they have like an emphasis on hands-on learning.
mm,
So in even in maths, they'll try and get you to go out, do something like this,
mm.
like using objects to count and learn rather than I remember homework writing on a piece of paper 1 to 100, 1, 2, 3, 4 each, but that never occurred here.
Mm.
And you use like real world objects to go in and learn something at like that age.
Mm.
And in computing is obviously my favorite subject, and I learned that a lot. But in primary school, you just have one teacher for each subject here, and not every teacher can be specialize in computing because it's quite like a different topic to learn, and technology is always changing, so it can be difficult to keep up with. So what they would do is they would have computers in school. When we needed to learn, they would have signed up for some kind of subscription service,
Mm.
and they would use that to teach us. So I remember using this thing called Purple Mash to teach me a bit of computer science and coding. It was like a subscription service that the teachers just paid off. They'd have us like have a computer and go do this activity. And if I can just like see, this is the bit of coding. I remember this very clearly. It's
Wow.
block coding. It's just showing you like how to do things simply. And this is
Mm,
also Scratch that we used. And I
mm,
love this at that age. Like, and it's just trying to get kids used to the logic of coding. This is about like age 10, 11.
mm.
So it just shows like how STEM is taught.
Wow.
But at the end of primary school, we have an exam called the SATs, and the only STEM subject there is maths that's being taught. So it
Mm,
shows that every other subject, like science and computing, they don't really like they don't test it. So I feel like those skills, when you come like later in life, they can be kind of forgotten
mm.
because I guess they're not really hold as like much
Yeah,
of higher regard
that's true.
in
Yeah.
that time.
Mm, mm,
And key stage 3 is high school,
mm,
and it's the last key stage 3 and 4 is the last stage of mandatory school in the UK.
mm,
And maths is one of the core subjects. This is just an overview on the things I taught. Science with biology, chemistry, and physics taught separately. And this is just some of the topics. I remember all of these clearly doing this. So these are just some of the topics. And something interesting about the science lessons was that practical lessons were mandatory in getting the GCSE qualification.
mm,
Um, and it's secondary school is split into two stages: key stage 3 and key stage 4. And when I started key stage 4, actually that's when COVID happened. A
Wow.
lot of the practical lessons that were mandatory to get in my qualification,
Mm,
I didn't do. And I remember in the last year 11, we had to rush and get those done because we wouldn't go nothing without them. So it just shows how like important practical work is, and doing experiments
mm,
is in science. And this is what it looks like. This is one of the first practicals you would ever do. And you first off just look at the theory and then use a Bunsen burner, whatever like equipment,
mm,
just do it. And the
mm,
next is computing. And I just found this curriculum of study for computing in high school. This is just basic things that like they teach you how to use a computer, a bit of coding. And
mm.
this is what the computer labs look like.
Wow.
And there's also an interesting subject called design technology. And you just you use software, you can create 3D objects, and it's very like technical. I only did it up until I was 14, so I don't have much experience with it, but I still like still very interesting subject when it comes to STEM. And
Mm,
as I said, high school is split into two key stage 3 and key stage 2. But
mm,
key stage 4, I mean key stage 3 and key stage 4, but key stage 4 is halfway.
mm,
Key stage 3 is kind of like foundation, and key stage 4 is when you're actually like studying and going in depth for your GCSEs.
mm,
And thing is, you learn a lot of subjects in key stage 3, and then in key stage 4, you have an option to kind of like
mm.
to pick what you want to do. and drop the rest. So English literature, English language, math, science, humanities, and sometimes a language are mandatory subjects. But some subjects, like computer science and DT, and maybe food technology, STEM subjects, they are optional. So like it is good that people have an option, but maybe I feel like enough encouragement isn't there to really push people to like do more STEM subjects. And this is just what the grade looks like in GCSEs. Another interesting thing is that for example, in maths, there's two kind of papers you can take: a higher tier paper and a foundation tier paper. Foundation tier paper is given to people who are obviously like weaker in a subject. So higher tier, like if you were to take it, you wouldn't get a good grade, but foundation tier, it gives you like more of an opportunity to get something higher. But that kind of like can cap you in a sense where, you know, not everyone's like living up to full potential. I feel like there's a lot of like work we can do that way. And there's another thing called sets where they have an exam and they split students up in like different sets. And that can really impact the teaching quality in schools because you get the better teachers teaching the higher sets, then the lower teachers have a worse quality of education. So I feel like it's not really equal in that sense. And there's also differences in triple science and combined science. Just to show that like not everyone's getting like a full like equal STEM education. Sometimes there's a bit of a differences. I actually chose combined science because I wouldn't have the opportunity to do computer science if I was to choose triple.
Okay.
So yeah. And high school actually ends when you're 16 in the UK. And you go into a sixth form or a college. And it's a 2-year, very rigorous like phase of education. Yeah, and after you need your GCSEs to go into a college to take your A levels, which you need to go into university. And they have entry requirements. Typically, students pick 3 A levels to do, and these are based on like your GCSEs and what you did in thingy in high school. But there's also this interesting thing that my sister's actually taking called a BTEC. You typically choose 3 A levels, but depending on what BTEC you can do, you can just take 1 BTEC. Instead of doing biology, chemistry, and physics as an A level, for example, you can take health and social care as a BTEC, which gives you work experience. You're focusing on one subject. It's more like university focused, if you know what I mean, because BTEC A levels, they're considered level 3 qualifications, and university is considered level 4. So it's really more of a smoother transition into, you know, learning. And they are very good for STEM that I've heard of. Because for IT and other like computing subjects, you can really get like a really focused roadmap onto what you can do. It's just more qualifications. And this is just an example of a STEM roadmap here. And it just shows like how these kind of work together to, you know, getting a job and working like professionally. So you can see how the GCSEs, they go with the A levels, and then different kinds of like educational like routes you can go through. And that's just basically how STEM is being taught in there.
Wow. Thank you so much, Moyo, for this very, as I said, Moyo is the daughter of a professor. So, and we had our dad, Dr. Wale Oni, in the last edition of the dialogue where we had, also this very pedagogical in his presentation too. So I'm not surprised, but you said that the chip of the old block. I think that's what we've just seen. Thank you, Moyo, for running us through UK education system.
No
And I think
problem.
it just sort of, and as we were talking, what just alarmed me was that the Nigerian education system was patterned after the UK, after the England education system or English education system. But the the model we are using, the the model that was presented to us or that we took, the owners of the model have moved on. We are still sort of operating the old and outdated model because these are all different. These are some of that is very novel to me. And we're supposed to be using the same UK model. So do you have anything to share in addition to this presentation based on your own experience, maybe interaction with fellow Nigerians? I know you're UK citizen, or almost a UK citizen. What are your own experience? What are your own insights from what you've had, maybe those in your classes, those in your school, or those among your friends?
I think it's a lot of people when they choose a subject, they have like interest in it.
Okay.
Obviously in GCSE and primary school, for example, they're kind of standardized where everyone has to do the same thing. But when you go to A levels and university, everyone kind of has like freedom and an option to choose what they want to do.
Okay.
I think like that's an added bonus because then you're more passionate about what you're actually learning
Hmm.
and why you want to do it.
Okay.
And I think also something very important is access to resources,
Hmm.
whether it's like a laptop,
Yeah.
book, like any kind of like even like science, like
Hmm.
flask and any kind of equipment that could
Mhm.
really help because there was a lot of focus in hands-on learning. I feel like that taught me the most,
Hmm.
doing things actually like by myself and learning how they work. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Then another question I will also ask Adasa and Efe when they're talking. But when you came to, by the time you were living in Nigeria, what class were you? When
Um,
you get to UK, were you the same class?
I was in year 4 when I came into the UK and I was 9 years old.
Okay.
So I think that might be primary 3 or
Okay.
primary
In
in
Nigeria.
Nigeria. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So okay, still maintain your year, really. Okay.
Yes, I did. There's no going behind. If you're in this year, everyone's like the same. No one can
Same, yeah,
like,
okay. Yeah,
yeah.
okay, because you joined at the okay. I think Adasa may have a slightly different story to share with us in that regard, and maybe a fate too. Okay, thank you very much, Moyo, for this very analytical presentation that you've given us today. I will be jumping to Efe or Adasa. Please, do you want to share with us what STEM education was like for you in Nigeria before you traveled abroad? And what was it that what you experienced like?
Hello, everyone. So for my experience in Nigeria,
Mhm.
for the STEM subjects, when I was in JS1, we were doing biology, chemistry, and physics.
Okay.
And one thing I noticed about like the difference between when we're doing it here and when we're doing it there, we mostly did like combined science here, like for like the whole history, because I said I'm in year 10 now. And in Nigeria, it was like more separate, but we also didn't do any like practicals or as my senior lawyer said, any hand-on work. So it was really hard to like remember anything that I've actually really done in this thing. And I know that the curriculum that I did there was very different to what I've learned here
Wow.
because the subjects are very, how do I say, they're very separated
Mm.
from what I did in Nigeria. They're very different.
Okay.
And we actually did have a science lab in my school, but it was only for the senior classes, like the SS1 and something. So everybody in like just 1 to just 3 didn't really get access to it. And we only had one computer room, which wasn't really active to us. Like we didn't have any free access to go to the room to go and learn if we wanted to use like computer. And we didn't really do any coding, like more like just 1, just 2. But whereas when I was in like year 8, they were teaching us how to use like Python, and we're also using like stuff like Scratch and like the code.org. So we're doing a lot more practical stuff here in the UK rather than what we did in Nigeria.
Well, thank you very much for that, Adasa. And what age, what class were you when you left Nigeria, and what class did you come to when you get to the UK?
So I was 11 years old and I had finished year just two, which is year 8 in the UK.
Okay.
But when I moved here, I had to go back to year 7. So I
Why?
had to do it's mostly because how they class the classes here in the UK, they do it through age, not through knowledge. They don't really care or what you actually did before your age or how like the age system works here. So it was the class that most people my age would be in. That's what they put me in. So I had to move back to year seven.
But between what you experience in year seven, that's in GSS 1 in Nigeria, and what you experience in GSS, your year seven in the UK, there are differences from what you've said. What are
Yeah.
the things that are striking to you that, man, this is not the way I learned them? Are there things that you knew then that they validated, or are there things that they are just totally different from what you've known before and what you now learn again?
Yes. So I think when I was in Nigeria, when I first did mathematics in JS1, they were going to back to like the simple stuff, like when the things that were already done in primary school is what they were going over again. Like they were
Wow.
teaching us afresh. We didn't really learn many new stuff, like many new equations and formulas and stuff. But like in mathematics, when I was doing it in the UK, we could see different topics and not like we'll be staying on those older ones. We'll get some starter questions to like just recap our memory so that we'll like, not forget what we've learned, like to refresh our knowledge. So it was not mostly like we're staying back on what we learned. We learned many new things and like many new areas of learning that were different to what I learned in Nigeria.
Okay. Thank you very much, Adasa. We'll go to Ife. Ife, over to you. Do you have anything to share with us based on your experience with STEM or curriculum in Nigeria, and when you finally get to UK? What was your experience like? And what class were you? And did they actually return you to a previous class, unlike the one that your age should be when you got to the UK? Ife,
Hi everyone. Okay.
hi.
So I'm gonna start from classes.
Okay.
So when I was in Nigeria, I was done with school. I was in SS3 and I was about to write my WAEC.
Wow.
So coming over here, I had to go back. And going back, I went to year 9, which I
Wow.
think should be SS2 in Nigeria. So I had to start all over again. And but presently now I'm in year 11. So looking at the subject now being in year 11, I'm like in my final year of high school, which I was already in Nigeria and preparing for my GCSE.
Okay.
So going to looking at the subject when I went back, I really felt so sad and I felt bad. But when I really went into the system, looking at what I was being taught, I would say for the scheme of work was actually the same because what I'm actually learning here, I've already done in Nigeria, which
Okay.
is really helpful for me because I don't have to struggle. I don't really need to read like that hard because what I'm learning, I've already learned in Nigeria. So
Mm.
I'll say for the scheme of work, it was really helpful for me. I still go back to my Nigeria books and read from it because they are just like the same thing. So I don't really struggle with subjects.
Mm.
But the practicals, when I was in Nigeria and being SS3, my school, though I attended a private school, but my school didn't have like all the science equipment for practicals and stuff.
Mm.
So we do the practicals, while sometimes we have to pay money so they can buy the equipment. And even if they buy it, they might not be complete, there might be something missing. So the practical we're just fumbling, like not really practical. We just had to sometimes we even just had to watch a video about it and we learn about it. And so but coming over here, I had to do practicals and I could even do practicals on my own. Like the equipment were they are available for everyone, each person with their own equipment. But in Nigeria, I didn't even have the equipment. But coming here, each person with the equipment and you could carry out the practical yourself, you could observe it yourself and you could take note of it yourself so you could understand it. The teacher could come to you if you don't understand, explain to you and help you carry it out. So I think based on the practicals, yeah, I feel it was really different. And when I was in Nigeria, I you had to do like being in SS3, you had to do like 14 subjects. But coming here, sort of just like it wasn't really specific in Nigeria. The teachers would be the one to decide if you go to science or you go to art. It's not based on like what you want to do. if you're fumbling in science, the teacher will tell you, no, you have to go to art. You can't do science or so. But coming here, you decide, you pick the subject you want to do, and I actually pick the subject I want to do because I want to go into medicine. So I picked the subject that I want to do.
Mm.
Even while I was doing computing in Nigeria, we didn't have computer. The only time I got to see a computer was them, my school borrowing it, or rather renting it, and then they showed us the power of the computer. This is how it works, and I feel like that was only the time I had to see a computer. So coming here and me doing computer here actually struggled a lot because I didn't know how to use a computer. It was like doing something like I've never done before, and I struggled really, really a lot. Like just the teacher will have to sit with me and tell me this is what I have to do. My classmate will have to sit with me and help me. I was really struggling with using a computer. It was really difficult for me, but I think now I'm actually improving, and I can use a computer properly now. And yeah, I can use the computer properly now. So I also got to pick based on the subject. I got to pick the subject I want, and for my GCSE, and I picked maths. Maths is compulsory, science and it's compulsory, and I'm basically doing combined science. But in Nigeria, we had to do separate science, biology separate, physics separate, and chemistry separate, which I think was actually helpful because coming here is still the same thing, but it's just like it's combined. So yeah, and so I got to pick other subjects like travel and tourism, health and social, which are all these like big tech subject. And I didn't do such in Nigeria. Like I didn't even know what health and social care was. I don't even know what travel and tourism was. But coming here, I was like, okay, I don't know what this is, but I'm gonna pick it and I'm gonna see how it goes. And so picking health and social, I would say I really love it and I'm really enjoying it. Currently now I'm doing a coursework about a mental ill health patient, and I have to decide the primary care services, secondary healthcare services that can take care of this person, looking for respite care for the family and such. And say for my travel and tourism coursework, which I'm almost done with right now. It's about booking a trip for some set of members of people going to Bulgaria. So I have to pick the trip, the travel insurance, the accommodation, activities, and all sort of things, which I never had any idea about in Nigeria. So coming here, I really got exposed a lot, and yeah, I would say it's really beneficial. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ife, for that. Some very interesting notes from what you said that struck me. You said you went to a private school in Nigeria, right?
Yeah.
And even the private school, where was it? Was it in Lagos? Was it in another part of Nigeria?
No, I was in Kaduna, KD. Yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah.
even the private schools did not have some of these infrastructures that you see. And when you came to UK, were you in a private school or in a public school?
And it's a public school, I think. Yeah.
So that means, I mean, even the public schools here seem to have more facilities, more infrastructure than what we have available at home for even private schools that should ideally have all this stuff because now they're collecting money from the parents to be able to give the children the best of education. And you also said something that's also very um, gladdening to me because okay, when you came, because you've done this as three, though they had to return you to was it year 11 now? Because I
Yeah.
mean, based on your age and all that, but from what you could see, the content of the curriculum weren't that different. So that means at that from that SSS level, I mean, we seem to be getting something right there because what you were taught here and what you have been taught when you were in Nigeria weren't so different, and then you could easily cope with that. But where you were struggling with were those infrastructure, those facilities that you didn't have when you were in Nigeria. And then these are part of uh, your school day. I mean, in England, and you have to make work with this. And I'm glad, okay, you're actually coping and all that. And then new curriculum, new content that you have to also grapple with. So thank you very much for that, Ife. I would now, I mean, ask throw the floor open to any of our panelists who want to share any other thing, or any of our friends as well who are here. We have Nina here, we have Favor, we have Deborah, Shola, Julius, Mary. Linus, if any of you have anything you want to maybe ask or you want to add to what has been said, please, you have the floor. Please, what is something that's okay. Okay, please, whoever wants to say something, please, you want to ask a questions, you want to add anything. Ajia, you are here as well, so please, you have the mic.
Good evening once again. Hey, hope I'm still on.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Actually, it's always at rendering whenever you listen to people who are privileged to be in the diaspora and to have that experience of receiving quality and practical education over there compared to the Nigerian experience. I have just been listening and just imagining the potentialities that is being wasted here. We've got good brains here, but the Nigerian problem will always remain politicizing everything. We do not have a committed leadership to pursuing policies to perfection and par excellence. All they do is make a pay lip service. I'm a teacher of a great length of experience, wealth of experience. And in all my years of teaching, both in private and public sector, it's a pity that we are still not getting the knack of really implementing the richness of curriculum. Yes, the government will get good hands and heads together to pull up and put some things together on paper, but no proper monitoring to see that all these things are effective. This is why an average Nigerian student learns in abstraction. No practicality, just like when my son was stating his experiences.
Yeah,
I could remember when he was on that his final project, trying to make a fuelless generator. Another big factor is poverty. We could have supported him to 100% success, even without the school's backing. But these things are not readily affordable to us as parents. For him to really get a maximum function, performing a fuelless generator, the amount will have to commit into getting magnets, very gigantic, which is far beyond us. And presenting such to the government is a no-no, because somebody will just hijack it and throw it under the carpets. And at most, they can even use it to siphon funds, which will not see the light of the day at the end of the day. It will just go into their pockets. That is the sad reality of Nigeria. So there is a recent experience that is really, really touching me. When these are two girls, when Moyo was talking and the last speaker, I was just imagining the vast opportunity they have. This is why an average Nigerian will get there and excel. Because all this theory is now giving the free ground, the free hand, and the support, all the support he or she needs to really practicalize and practice. So in my school currently, we were trying to draw up co-curricular activities, and as a member of the actually I chair the committee, to pep up the curriculum and have these children engaging in extracurricular activities that are practical oriented. We have the ones where we teach them speech making, speech delivery, debate. Then for science oriented, jet club, making this, making that. Now, some of us came up with ideas of having practical soap making class for them, having them make for the homemakers club, having them make some practical things at home that is useful. You won't believe that as small as making soap will cost us averagely, let's say, for just practical purpose to display and get the students engaged, we will need, say, 7,000. My principal had to strike it out immediately that anything that will warrant us asking students to bring money should be out of it. Then we can only do this if we teachers are willing to sacrifice our own funds from our meager salary to teach these children. These things are part of the vocational studies introduced of recent. It used to be, in those days, some of these subjects are embedded within existing subjects. They are now, set aside. They started the entrepreneurial subjects, and they extricate some of these subjects, creative arts, coding, computer, data analysis, catering and craft, all these, they're extracted from the existing subjects of home economics, computer studies, and all of this. So they did all this. Good. These are good STEM-oriented ideologies. But the follow-up, the practicality, the fundings that will make these lofty ideas a reality were not forthcoming and are not still forthcoming. So it only takes a committed teacher with a passion to sacrifice from our meager means to really sow into the lives of these students. Unlike what Moyo and is it Efe or the other guy is experiencing over there. That's the difference. The difference is the Nigerian factor, which continues to be on the negative side. And we keep saying this time and again. We don't know when the Messiah will come. So it's really, really, really heart-rendering. This evening I'm so sober, hearing and comparing, but I pray one of these days we get it right, and our students will get the optimal experience while in school. Majority of them will get to the field before they get practically acquainted with what they have learned in school, which is very, very bad. So it's appalling.
Okay, thank you so much, Adia, for that. I will also, since you are a teacher, I would also like Julius. Julius is also a teacher in Lagos, to maybe share your own experience, your own perspective with us on this issue. You've heard from different sides of divides. What is your experience, Julius, based on what we discussed today?
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
My name is Julius, and let me start from what a friend told me when she traveled to the UK for her master's.
Okay.
She said it was when she got to the UK that she discovered that she was underutilizing herself in Nigeria.
Wow.
That there's a lot of potentials in the UK and outside other countries where education is given priority. And another thing is that most people who are in the teaching profession are doing it not because they really have passion for it, but because there's no other job that they can do that would just keep them afloat. So you find many people who are not really interested in teaching, being forced by the Nigerian factor. And then it's saddening, just like the last speaker said, that most of the things that we are supposed to have, if private schools don't have it, the equipment that they will need for learning, if you even go to the government schools, they are not even teachers to take the subjects. There was a time I was teaching a group of students, and then I was asking, what are the texts that you are reading for literature? And then she told me, we don't have a literature teacher, and that is supposed to be a government school. So we have an irresponsible government. Everything is just messed up. I don't know when we are going to get it right. I seriously don't know. Really, really painful that education that is supposed to be the right of every child, equipment should be made available, things that will make learning very easy are lacking. And then it seems as if the students don't know what they are doing. Just like the last speaker said, it is when Nigerians get abroad, get into the university or college or whatever, they do excellently well because they take advantage of the facilities that are available, and the way they read in Nigeria, that's what they import to all these schools, and they excel.
Yeah, that's true. Thank
So
you very much.
that's
Thank you very much, Julius. Nnenna, do you have anything to share with us on this level? We have from Shola Lebile, who is a civil servant and is like the face of government we have in this particular gathering. So maybe you can pour all our venom on, on Shola. But let's hear from Nnenna first. Nnenna, do you have anything to add to what has been said so far? Hi, Nnenna, are you here? Gone. Okay, Shola, let's hear from you, please. Shola, what is your take on some of this? You are a servant, you know the way things are in the civil service. Amos, that was the federal civil servant, is no longer here now, but we can hear from your side, Shola. What do you know? What insight do you have based on what we've discussed today, maybe from the government's own side or from you, from the civil service side? What do you have to say to this, Shola? Shola Lebele, are you here? Gone. Okay, Linus, can we hear from you, please? Okay, you have already been unmuted. Linus, can we hear from you? What is your own take on this?
Honestly, following everything, and I just feel I just need to talk. Do you know that I think it was last week I was talking to my friend. As it stands, you know that it's now everything finding a way to give to countries to start. But before that, we were thinking you do have computer. Like here in our university, we've not had life for about 4 months since when I graduated, finished.
Sorry, how many months?
Exams. 4 months, 5 months now.
Jeez. A university, and it's a federal university, right?
Mark script. How do you expect lecturers to do other researches? How do you expect lecturers to call? We're even talking at the advanced level. Going back to the secondary, most times you see being driven because they don't even have access. I've checked instant page. When I went into their science laboratory, I feel that there is nothing that qualifies that place to be a lab. Most of the time, when students go to the school, like you just come and see that this block has been connected. I would know the detail that you've improved in their feeding. But honestly, as it stands now, anybody that really want to excel well will have to just take personal level. I mean, it's beyond us going to school and come back. That be with the personal efforts that yes, you really want I so much believe this. Even in the university, there are some courses that I didn't do. In the whole Ahmadu Bello University, there are some courses I didn't because there is no lecturer. I'm a graduate of literature in English. I didn't do creative writing taught in the university because there's no lecturer to take it. I came from master's to really focus on cultural studies. Was situated that we have only one lecturer, and then if there's only like 5 students that want to take this course, you can't because we can't just give a whole one lecturer to 5 students. Things are in this country now. I love what we are doing here, and honestly, these book clubs that we're setting up, we're changing a whole lot of orientation. I've seen white people leave their countries coming down here to help us here, but at some point we frustrate things for ourselves here.
Yeah.
We won't give up. That's why Literary Renaissance Foundation is here.
Thank you very much, Linus, for that. I don't know if either Nina or Shola is able to talk now. Deborah, can we hear from you? You are a recent graduate from the Nigerian education system. What do you have to add to what has been said by some of our discussants today? You want to share your own opinion, your own insights, or your own perspective? Deborah, are you here? Okay. Sorry, I think maybe, okay, we still have you here. Okay, if Deborah is not able to talk, Mary, do you have anything to add? At least you are a mother with children in school. What is your own experience? What is your own take on what has been said based on what you've heard from our discussants today? What is your take?
Okay. Yeah, so far so good. I heard when Moyo was speaking and she was really dissecting, and then I tried to differentiate the schooling between Moyo and that of Ife. And I related it to my son, 9-year-old, is in primary 4, and they've started teaching them stuff concerning STEM, coding, and at that age in the school there. And in his school, they have access, to the laboratory where, they can do one or two things. As a primary 4-year-old boy, he has a laptop to himself, which, when he's doing his coding and robotics, you are entitled to at least give your child a laptop so that he can, also go back home and learn, practice what he has learned. And now using it to compare when I was in school, that's a different story entirely. When I was in primary 4, I don't think I had any experience with anything called STEM till maybe sometime in secondary school. And even then, the labs we had were not up to date, they were sort of outdated. It was more on the theory aspect of, the STEM subjects. So basically, I think there's an improvement. If we're looking at it, there's an improvement from when I went to school and from those who have been able to relocate from Nigeria recently to the probably UK or US or abroad. Let me use that word. I can see that there's a difference. And I was quite will I say elated, or I was sort of like a little bit I appreciate our teachers here because I don't know who said either Ife or so. Yes, she said she had to go back to some of her books, school books that she brought in from Nigeria, which helped her a lot. And even though she was, she stepped down in a class, she didn't really have to, read as much as, she's going into a new class. So I think we can say, yes, there's a plus for that. And I also had I think, a conversation with a friend, and the friend is actually studying, medicine though. I don't know whether I'm digressing. But I was now asking that you have an opportunity to study this medicine abroad. The person said yes, but I prefer to learn it here because in Nigeria, they are much more hands-on with the theoretical aspect of it. Everything about the theory, they are very, very good. And aside from that, even the practical aspects too, they are so good that when they tend to go abroad, they like pick up very easily. It's very easy for them to catch up. It's very easy for them to, be promoted in whatever they are doing. And I was like, oh, that's good. So it means we are doing something, something good, despite the fact that, yes, maybe it's outdated, our curriculum can be outdated, but at least we can say that's a plus for us. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Mary, for that. I mean, that also, just more or less gives us another thing to share about in terms of, okay, yes, we still have some things that is not as if it's all that bad, really. There are some things we are getting right based on what some of the discussions I've also mentioned before, with your discussion with your friend, and even looking at your own son's school, the school already has a good STEM curriculum, and they actually integrating with not just with the students in the school alone. They also ensure that okay, it's done at home, so the students have access to these facilities, and then they're able. Just it's easy for them to just evolve and take it to a higher level. We will take Ayo. Ayo already said he has something to add. Then we also hear from Ajia based on whatever you have to say. So Ayo, you have the mic now. After that, we'll listen to Ajia.
Yeah, so quick one. I kind of prefer the Nigerian education system, and my reason is that it helps us. I mean, it may not necessarily be the best, but it helps us take charge, chart our own direction, so to say.
Yeah.
Someone mentioned about the fact that they learned Scratch and stuff. My kids started using Scratch. I have three girls. Each of them started using Scratch. I mean, the oldest they got when they started using Scratch was, I think, 5 or 6.
Wow.
So, and it was interesting for them. I mean, a lot of the time they might not even have realized the implication of what they were doing, but it was a way for them to get introduced to it. And this helps in a lot of ways. And one of the reasons why I said that I think the Nigerian education system is kind of better, especially for us Nigerians, is that we have been so used to not having anything handed to us. You want this, that if it doesn't rely, like, it's your responsibility to make it happen. You can't wait for any other person. We can blame the government all we want. We can blame established institutions all we want, but unless we have like an actionable plan to advise and help them implement and oversee the implementation, we'll still likely have to be responsible for making things happen ourselves. Now, the school system may not work like we want, but the internet is there, and then there's resources on everything. No matter if you wanted to be a rocket scientist now, you can do it, or you can study, get resources online, and learn as much as you need to. And if you're dedicated enough, you can, after learning, you can write certification exams, sit for certification exams, and then pass and get awarded whatever degrees you want. So let's focus. Let's try to look at it more from perspective of what can we do. How can we make things better? I'm not pro government. I mean, I do have a lot of things against the government and established institutions, but I've also come to realize that complaining isn't going to solve the problem, and it's actually not affecting the people you're complaining about. If they're doing things you don't want, if you sit down and you're like, oh, you guys are, yeah, if most of the things you're saying won't even get to them. So in the light of the options we have, what can we do? Self-learning, charting your own path. A lot of the cybersecurity professionals that I know that I have worked with, like great people who are Nigerian, didn't have their first degree in tech.
Wow.
So I mean, it's after they graduate from school and then they decide that, oh, okay, well, I want to now go into tech. Then they retrain themselves and learn new stuff. If it were to be in the West, the entry barrier would be a lot higher because if you go to school, by the time you graduate, people expect you to practice something close to what you went to school to do. In Nigeria, it's, I mean, not necessarily. Most people get into the university to study what they were able to get in for, not to what they intend to go in for.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
if there's any way we can help, yes, let's do that. But more importantly, let's know that our future, our progress and everything is entirely our responsibility. Let's do whatever we can instead of staying back to say, "Oh, okay, the government needs to do this or the schools are not doing this." No, if this is what you want to achieve, focus on achieving it and influence anyone who is close enough to you to help them get things done.
Okay, thank you very much, Tayo. I mean, you actually preempted the final question we'll still be asking across the board from everyone. So we still come to you in terms of what do you think is the way forward? But we'll listen to Ajia. Ajia, do you have something to say or to add to what has been said so far? Um, Ajia, are you here? Okay. Uh, okay. Ajia, do you have anything to? You were raising your hand earlier, so you have the mic now. As we round off, because now we just want to explore. Sorry, I think maybe network is not so good where she is. So we'll just be, I mean, just do the final question, which is the way forward. And Ayu has graciously actually preempted us into that question. So what can we do both as individuals, as a community? Now, no, the emphasis is not on the government. The emphasis is not on we as stakeholders, because when we come here, we are all stakeholders in these affairs, in these issues that we're talking about. What can we do to improve the STEM curriculum in our country, to improve the standard of education that we receive, or that the I mean our when we come to practice, find ourselves in the workplace, what can we do? What can we do? Practical solutions. I don't know if I would like to start us on that, as he's also running off to leave, and then we hear from everyone, both from those in school. I mean, you obviously you've seen this, you've experienced this. Oh, we can do this, we can do this. So, and even as government, please, let's hear what you think can be done by the government. So, Ayo, I don't know if you are willing to start off with us again on that question.
Yeah, so one of the things in my experience, one of the things that have always been missing is project-based learning for in general for the educational system in Nigeria. Project-based learning is missing. When we were in school, routine review of curriculums, that was missing as well. So if it's possible to do that, especially with technology and sciences and so things change, things are changing at a very rapid rate. So can we have a system that helps people update the curriculum so that by the time people learn stuff, They are learning something current. Someone talked about programming in Fortran. Nobody uses, I mean, nobody has used Fortran from a long time ago. However, the objective of programming at those points, Fortran COBOL, was to help you with critical thinking and help prepare your mind as to how to think when programming. Nobody expected you to graduate even as far back as the time I was in school. We were lucky in addition to COBOL, Fortran, we also learned, I think, C++.
Wow.
So C++ was the most recent at that time, kind of. So, but ultimately what it helped us do was to help shape our minds as to thinking like a programmer. So doing that, yeah, looking at things from that perspective, I've also said that don't expect the government to do anything for you. It won't happen for a long time to come. So we at some point, if there's a way to present structured advice to the government and work with them on implementing consistent government policies around STEM, we have countries who have established what's this thing established ministries in charge of specific things. So and to do that, we need to have a vision. Like, where do we expect the country to be in 10 years in terms of workforce? How in China, in Japan, in a lot of a few other Asian countries, they have this, they really send, they have like an established government funded program or government coordinated programs where they send people into to learn to understudy other countries' technologies and then bring stuff back to do for themselves. We need to be able to have a program, but to be able to do that, we first need to get past a lot of hurdles that we currently have in governance. Nigerian governance system is nothing to write home about. So let's not expect anything from anyone. We're not getting anything. We just lead to more frustration. So, but if we're able to, it would be nice to have great policies. Now hearing that some educational institutions don't have the right infrastructure, we can make donations and of course find a way to ensure that those donations will go towards what you want them to go towards. We can also volunteer, from time to time if the schools are open to it and we have people who are subject matter experts, let them come in and then teach stuff because it's also hard to get STEM teachers. If you're someone who is skilled in STEM, you don't how much do teachers get paid in Nigeria? You don't want to waste your time doing that because everybody needs to make money for themselves. So we don't have qualified individuals teaching those things. So we need to find a way to make it attractive so that qualified people want to do that. We also need to explain, like have some education session for students so they have a general idea of what STEM is, what's technology, how can I get there, and if I get there, how does it generally help me to make the world a better place, aside from just making money for myself, what's in it, what can I do, just find a way to make it interesting to people because generating that interest in people is what will ensure the ultimate success. Because when there are hurdles for them to cross, they're looking at it from a perspective of, okay, this is what I want to ultimately be able to achieve. So that would drive them and help them rise above whatever limitations there are. So yes, I already mentioned project-based learning. That's very, very important because it helps people get like hands-on. But in the event that there are no equipment and stuff, there's the internet, there's YouTube, there's basically anything you want on that. And the world offers a lot of free service now because there's internet. Some people want to be popular or they want to grow their brand. So in order to achieve that, they give some free training that you ordinarily would not have been able to access. So all that, if people want to leverage it, it would be great. So yes, being able to do all this, I think, will help push people in the right direction.
Thank you so, so much, Ayo, for that very insightful analysis that you're giving us to the solution. We'll listen to Ajia. After Ajia, we'll hear from Ahmad. Um,
Yes, I just want to add a bit to what Ayo has just
okay.
said. Yes, I quite agree to the fact that we can't keep on whining about.
Oh, sorry, I think network is not so kind. Where she is. Ajia, can you hear us? We can barely hear you now. Oh, sorry. Okay, Ahmad, I think maybe you can just go next when network comes back. We'll hear from
Okay.
After Ahmad, we'll hear from Muyo and Adasa and then Efe. Is Efe still here with us? Okay, please, Ahmad.
Okay. What I want to say, I think Aya has actually said it,
Mhm.
but I think a way out of this is from the individual, and it's actually has to come from home, and parents sending their children to school.
Yeah.
They should actually let them understand what schooling is. Because not most of the time, just like going to school to make money, that is what's in there. So the interest should be in there. I remember when we were in the second year, I have a colleague then, because then we do not specialize, and we specialize on the fifth year, either going to power or telecommunication.
Mhm.
So he was being asked that, okay, what do you want to specialize on? Electrical engineering student, and she said mass communication. So she does not really have any understanding, has any idea of what she is doing in that department.
Wow.
So you can just imagine,
Mhm.
even if you have all these advanced, almost
Mhm.
everything, she doesn't have any idea. She just wants to be an engineer and she loves electrical. Do you understand? So the one thing is the government. With that, I even have my own reservation when we're talking about the government. What is the government? But the other thing is us. I remember, okay, it was in here in Heba. There is one park in near the terminal. I was working with my twin brother. We were working. Say, look at this terminal. I know the issue of this terminal is that the terminal is more advanced than the civilian. I was now looking at it. That is true because this terminal is not built for this, and that is what they're using it for. They do not understand it.
Mhm.
So that is just it. So if student actually knows what educational system is, then in fact, once the lecturer even gets into this class and what the student is actually dishing out is even more than what the lecturer is saying, it will be challenging. But the student, they just know that, okay, go to school, just get your first class. That is just it. And we are very good at that. Memorize everything, get into the exam or leave it. Next second month, ask me what we did last semester. I've forgotten. So to me, that's actually a way forward, and that's what's applicable in the field, on the field. As I'm working right now, I'm not even using anything I'm actually doing in school. It's what is obtainable. There are challenges. I have to go research. Sometimes I spend night research what is happening right now. How can I use it to solve the issue, to tackle the problem we are facing currently at work? Or how
Mhm.
can I do it to improve what we are doing? Do you understand?
Mhm.
Because I know, okay, this is my portfolio, this is what I'm doing. But in school, we do not know. We are only chasing the grade.
Mhm.
To get grades is easy.
Mhm.
It's easy.
Yeah.
But when you just get the grade, then what is it? No, you do not understand. So to me,
Vision of
it's about the base when students are actually going from the primary school, let them understand what education is. You're not going there just for the grades, just for you to understand what you're doing. Once you understand, you can do anything.
Mhm.
You will be able to diversify and do anything. So that is what I want to.
Thank you very much, Ahmad. You just think that we should go back, we should check our basics, check our motive, why we going to school. I mean, what our expectations, and we should align our expectations and our priorities, so that we are going to school for the right reason. We are actually pursuing education for the right reason, not for mercantile reason, that will now be looking like a fish out of water if perchance we are being called out on what we've learned in school. Thank you very much for that. Moyo, let's hear from you. What do you think is the way forward for us, for Nigeria, for our education system, as far as this topic is goes?
Yeah, I think we're actually already going in the right step by already like recognizing that this is a problem.
Okay.
I can see that the curriculum needs an update, an overhaul, like to improve, like and emphasize hands-on learning. And that requires like resources and money, which, I think it should be taken more seriously with the government and the education system. It should be standardized everywhere. But as well as this, what we can do right now is use digital resources definitely and have certifications for teachers just to teach STEM. Something like computing and coding is just very easy to translate, even like here through Zoom. And if we're able to do that, I think that'll make like a big improvement.
Wow. Thank you very much, Moyo. Very practical, very sunset and straight to the point in terms of solutions that we can immediately start to deploy to these issues that we are discussing. And that's over to you. What do you have? I know you are still a bit on the young side. You still just, so what do you think can be done? What is the way forward, in your own opinion, to that the government can do, or those in charge of education can do, to improve the outing for our people, for our pupils at home?
I think they could implement more like maybe after school clubs to like help people learn more about like STEM subjects, or like to give people guidance on what they want to do.
Okay.
And then to send like more funds to the schools for the practicals and their equipment, so that they can have more experience with handling things and also like computers and those stuff.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's also very practical. Let's have after school for STEM, so that this sorry, somebody put okay, somebody saying train STEM teachers. But I started saying that okay, let's have after school for STEM purposes, where they can learn and then also be able to, put what they are learning to use. And also let's provide facilities for them. Let's have infrastructures, and let's have funding channel to the school, so that they can have all the things they need and for the improvement of the students. I don't know if any other person has anything to say, to add. Now we take in solutions. Julius, Deborah, Mary. I don't know if you guys have any other thing as we are running off. Our time is fast spent. Any of you willing to also add to the solutions we've had so far, please? Please go ahead.
The government should understand what education is, and they should not just say it, they should act it. By making sure facilities are available for the learners, from the primary to the university. So they should act and not just speak. That's what I have to say.
Thank you very much. You still bring it to the door of the government. The government should do what they need to do. They should do this, they should do that. Yes, I also said that, well, let's not expect too much miracle from the government. This government, they will keep being the government, but you are saying, well, they should live up to their responsibility. They should do what they promised to do during those electoral campaigns, those promises they made to the people, so that we can have a better or improved educational system. Mary, do you have anything to add? Or Deborah, if any of you also have anything to add as we bring this session to a close. Mary, Deborah, you have the mic now.
No, nothing else from my side, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Deborah, are you here now? Okay. I want to say thank you to everyone. I mean, who've taken like 2 hours just discussing this, and it's a very interesting topic. We'll have the third sequel in January, obviously. That's what we'll now use our issue guide. I just forget for this one, let's go unscripted. Let's even talk about the issues. Let's talk about the direct experiences of those STEM graduates, STEM professionals. What did they experience while they were there? What did they experience outside of school? Those when we are told and outside Nigeria. And I'm glad we had this very robust conversation, this very robust time. So I want to say thank you to everyone for joining the dialogue today. You've really, 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 I mean, what we've done today may seem this late to, but I can assure you that it's going a long way because we are in the airwave, we are online, we are being streamed. This is accessible everywhere, and people would, I mean, those in government, maybe now or maybe in future, someone somewhere will get to see this and then will also now, I mean, let the government of the day know that these are what people are saying. These are what are obtainable elsewhere. These are what are obtainable in our climate, and we need to be able to do something about it. Or maybe, I mean, even maybe the current government, maybe somebody will find themselves in position of education. And we're also going to do our own part, really, because we tend to put all these reports together, all the reports of our sessions, put them together and send them to those in authorities in charge of education. Let them hear what people are saying, let them read the reports, and let's see what that will result in. And at least we can do that much for ourselves, for our children, for our relatives, for our loved ones still in Nigeria who are still going through the education system. And let's hope that something which, I mean, because we've had very, very beautiful conversation at the last dialogue. This also very beautiful, very robust in terms of people coming in and seeing differences from their own perspective, from their own location. And I believe next year too, when we will have maybe even bigger representation than this, where we also have people. Unfortunately, we couldn't get any of our US. We're hoping to have at least 2 people from US students who have also passed through the Nigerian education system and are now schooling abroad in the US. At least we have from UK, we have good representatives from UK. So hopefully we'll still work on our US stakeholders for the next dialogue. And we're also thinking of bringing in government officials, those in the education board, to come and talk to us about their own point or their own perspective to this. Aji, I don't know if you have anything to say before we round off. I think network has been very crazy where you are, but we can listen to you just for a minute or two as we bring this session to a close.
Okay, thanks for giving me another opportunity. My network was so crazy,
Yeah,
raining heavily.
okay.
So I just want to chip in that the government should create a level ground for stakeholders to come up and assist as we experienced under Ajimobi's regime in Oyo, tenure in Oyo State.
Okay.
Then stakeholders came on board with schools governing board, old students, PTA, and a lot of progress was recorded. The school I was then, Aberdeen College, through that effort, was able to get a standard computer lab, and all the other labs, science labs, physics, chemistry, and biology labs were equipped. Even these stakeholders will always come time to time to give incentives to students, encourage good performance, and reward excellence. So all of these things aided then in making the STEM curriculum a reality. But unfortunately, there is no continuity.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Government disbanded the governing council, and he canceled that, and so he replaced it with, I think they came up with another name, all in the bid of winning the masses support of non-collection of anything from students. And it's not as if all these stakeholders are collecting from students, but just to, this ideology of this is not our party's kill it. So, and that is really affecting. You shouldn't think of the party. The party should not be the main focus. It is the benefits to the masses that matters. So that's one area I would like, when you are making your compilation, I would like you to hammer at or highlight that area, that the government cannot do it all. The stakeholders are closer to the schools and to the students, and the student stands to benefit more of a robust contribution from the stakeholders. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Adia, for this. I think that sort of just give us a very good way to wrap this up. Shouldn't be about party politics. You should think about the masses, think about the students, think about the people. It shouldn't be about government or who is in charge. And no, I think that's, because that's one thing, one thing that keeps recurring in Nigerian politics: continuity. A government comes, starts this good initiative, and another one comes in from different party or even same party and just scraps that entire program and start his own. And who benefits from that? And we just keep going round and round in cycle, not making much progress. And I believe as we continue to hammer on this kind of issue, as we continue to draw out the salient matters in this country, in our education sector, as the case may be, I believe we would definitely get there. So I want to say once again, thank you to every one of you for joining us today. Thanks for those who couldn't stay to the end. You're joining from Washington, Moyo from Manchester, Adasa and Efe from Liverpool, Prescott, Adasa Liverpool, Efe from Prescott, Efe from Liverpool. Sorry, I think I was mixing it up. So, and thanks for joining us, to you, Ajia, Julius, Deborah. Deborah were here, but not like you are really here. And Mary for coordinating this and ensuring that we have our guests. As I said, for the next one, we're going to be using our issue guide because we've drawn out a lot of very salient issues that we need to now also reflect in our issue guide. And then we'll also now use that to invite authorities, those in authorities, in education boards, at the federal, at the local, or even the state, at the state level, so that you can, let's see how many of them were able to see, to bring, to come and discuss some of these issues. These are what people have said. These are what we are seeing. And these are what needs to be done. What are their own perspective? What are their own contribution towards solving this problem? And we hope that we'll have a very, very good conversation come January as we prepare for it. I want to say again, thank you to everyone for coming. Have a fantastic remainder of the weekend and have a lovely week and a lovely month of October ahead. From Prescott, I want to say